take ourselves first through a bunch of geometry formulas. The first two have A equals, so they are area formulas. And the first one is area equals length times width, which will be the formula for the rectangle. And area equals side squared, that will be for the square. The next three are for the perimeter of various shapes. So let me write down perimeter each of these 3 times. The first one, 2 lengths plus 2 widths, that is for a rectangle. For a square, all 4 sides are the same, so you have 4 sides of the square. That will be your perimeter of the square. And A plus B plus C, that would be for the triangle. So it's pretty much assumed that you know and have these formulas memorized for all the rest of your math classes you'll probably ever take. We now move on to some theorems. The first one says that in all triangles, all 3 measures add up to 180 degrees. Vertical angles. Let's say we have 2 lines that are crossing, forming 4 angles. We would say that angles 1 and 2, as well as angles 3 and 4, are vertical angles. Vertical, I can spell. And what's important about these? Well, the importance is that vertical angles have the same measure. The same measure. When you are in a geometry class, you would say that vertical angles are congruent, which is another way of saying they have the same measure. We have a couple more vocabulary words, and those are the words complementary and supplementary. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees, and supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. You don't want to get these two mixed up with each other. Notice how complementary is spelled. It does not have an I. It's not complementary, it's complementary. Okay, let's use some of these equations and formulas. The perimeter of a rectangle is 24 feet. Okay, you can, if you want, draw a rectangle. Write down perimeter equals 24 perhaps. The length is 2 more than the width. Well, I would label that as W and W plus 2. And since I'm going to need all 4 sides to add up, I would label that on all 4 sides. And then I would be able to say, okay, W plus 2 plus W plus 2 is 24. There's my 4 sides adding up. Another way you could have said this using the 2L plus 2W equals perimeter formula, you could have said 2 of the W plus 2's plus 2 of the W's add up to the 24 and done it that way. Either way, you're still going to end up with this next line here. I'm going to have 4W plus 4 equals 24. You can see I got it by just adding these 4 W's up. Using the other formula, you'd have a 2W from one distribution and 2W over here on the right, making the 4W. We could then subtract 4 on each side of the equation. That would give us 4W is equal to 20. And dividing each side by 4, we would have W is equal to 5. And I'm going to label that as 5 feet. And the length we know is 2 more than the width, so the length would equal 7 feet in this problem. Some teachers are a little bit pickier than others when it comes to labeling the units on your problems. The width of a workbench is 1/2 the length. It doesn't say that we have a rectangle here, but I'm going to assume that we're dealing with a rectangle. So if the length is L, the width would be 1/2 of L. So here's another 1/2 L on the left, another L on the bottom there, and perimeter means we're going to be adding these all up. If you just say a half and a half make a whole, we'd have 1L and then 2 and 3. We have altogether 3L, adding up to the 240 inches. And dividing by 3 on each side, we would now have L is equal to 80 inches. Now the width, which is equal to 1/2 the L, would be 40 inches. So our dimensions here would be 80 by 40.